And these were some of the 5 things that we've worked on over the 4 years. And so instead of meeting and saying, oh, we're going to go work on questioning, and here's some of the stuff we're going to work on, and the 5 or 6 of us will do that, and then we're all going to go to our classrooms by ourselves and look at questioning and really not have anybody observe whether it's impacting student learning, student behavior. We felt that a lesson study would be a nice vehicle where we'd all be in the room working on a particular thing and observing it and really getting down to, like, is it working or not? So, a bit of a different perspective. We started that right away with 4SI. Lots of schools on our board didn't do that. They did the model where they'd take a day and meet about, say, feedback, and then everybody would go off and do feedback, and then come back and talk about it. And when we were sharing that first year, I think everybody liked our model, and so pretty much our whole board went to lesson study in 4SI, and then we carried it over to our OAME project to look at the mathematical processes. So that's kind of our journey as to how and why we got to it. And so I'll talk a little bit about the lesson study model. So teachers collaborate and co-create lessons. Everyone commits to giving it a try. So I think that's important. Like the people that are in the group, everyone's going to do one lesson. So the model at our school was we would take a half a day every week. So it was typically Thursdays. Sometimes it changed, it depended. But typically on Thursdays, we take either a morning or an afternoon. Everybody would meet and we would design a lesson. So that looked different. You know, and ideas flow. Like sometimes if it was your class, you would come in with a particular idea and we would throw around how that was going to happen, and sometimes the lesson completely changed. Like I think I came in one time wanting to look at, I don't know, I think it was linear relations, and I had an idea on how we might do that, and by the end of the morning or afternoon, the lesson was a ball roll race. It was, from what I wanted to do to what ended up happening was completely different. Because people just said, oh, that's not going to work, oh, let's do this, and all these ideas for it, and then literally in the last 30 minutes you end up kind of nailing down what's going to happen. So interesting process, because it really is a brainstorming part. So that's kind of the first day. And then a week later, we would take the next Thursday or the next Wednesday, whatever day it would be, that person would teach that lesson, everybody would observe. And one of the things we did during lessons was that just the person who was teaching would do the talking, like you're not interacting with the kids. It was kind of like be a fly on the wall and observe the kids and write down what you're hearing and what you're observing. And then that gives us information to debrief about the learning that was happening in the classroom. And I know that when Amy was talking to me about their lessons, they totally engaged with all the kids. So their 4 or 5 teachers, they would go in, they would co-plan a lesson, and they were all working with all the kids. So a little bit of a different model. We were trying to design lessons that you could take away and go do by yourself, and not necessarily have to have 5 or 6 teachers in the room. Yeah. So that's kind of like our cycle of what we do. So we plan delivery and observation and then debrief. So that the delivery and observation would happen in one period and the debrief would happen in the next period. And then we'd repeat that cycle. So that was a half a day every week for 4 years. I've been lucky enough to be with the group.